Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming. And we're off.
Testing, testicles, testing.
No, we've already done that.
Okay.
That was the earlier recording.
So we're live?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
Well, we're not live in that.
No.
Like, I am publishing this after that we record it and that kind of thing. So
You're not good enough to record this live. That's what you're telling me.
not good enough, not game enough to give away.
Nobody wants to see that. We need all the production value we can get, don't we?
And look, and there's not much, but I'll take what I.
Anyway, you are listening to Thoughtless Casual Gaming with Brett and Jace. We are a Geelong-based gaming podcast where we usually play games badly and then talk about them. This is episode, and I'm counting from the start now, but episode 25, quarter of a century.
Wow.
I know, right? Like, that's 24 more than I expected us to do.
Well, I can't work out how many I actually expected us to do. Like, I thought it would take a bit for us to get bored of it, but this has more momentum than I thought we would. That is, definitely.
We've been going over a year. We've got, slowly but surely coming up to 2,000 downloads. And I've only listened to each episode like once. So
which is once more than I have. And
so somebody out there is listening to every episode.
They're probably the same bots that keep telling me to advertise on some website or some shit. Like, do they listen? Does that count?
Smooth my balls. Is that what we're talking about?
They definitely listened at least once.
Oh, dear. Anyway, we are here. You're listening to us, whoever you are, and we thank both of you. Actually, it's 3 of you now, so that's good. Shall we go straight into a bit of an update?
Yes.
I want to talk some TV, because I think we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to TV at the moment.
I feel like we are. I mean, you're slightly ahead of me, but that's not unusual.
Okay. First of all, Loki. Did you finish?
I did finish last night when I realized that we're literally going, oh, what are we going to watch? I'm like, wait, didn't we miss the last episode of Loki? We're like, no, we watched the full series. We wouldn't be an idiot. And then we checked. I'm like, no, definitely didn't. So we sat down and watched that last night.
So you managed, obviously, social media presence is not...
I didn't even hear about it.
Because I was starting to see... the typical spoiler reviews and all that sort of thing. I think the day before I watched it, but I did manage to avoid them.
No, it legitimately did not come up in my feed at all, and I don't know whether that's to do with the popularity. I don't know whether it's to do with the current Facebook algorithms. I don't know whether it's to do with the fact that I just haven't really been digging with social media too much. I don't know.
What did you think anyway?
I don't know.
No, that's fair.
I was whelmed.
Yes.
I mean, and let's throw the spoiler alert in here just now because it's going to be easier, and I'm not going to say too much, but I like that it basically just did a full TVA and brought us back to the same point, like back to the start. And I can see how that mechanism of we just go around in the loop works so well for a series. But I was expecting more. I was expecting I think I said in the last episode, I was expecting a kind of Sixth Sense style twist or a real kind of, moment where you're like, an Inception kind of moment where you're like, fuck, are we dreaming? Are we awake? What's going on? And there just wasn't.
No. And I mean, Loki wasn't Loki for me. Like this whole series, he's been sort of following people around like a puppy, and I think I said in the comments of a stream recently, I said Loki, especially in the last episode, Loki was more Owen Wilson than Owen Wilson was.
Well, and the other thing I think I struggled with is Loki starts this season from early Avengers. Right, we're Battle of New York kind of deal. So that's the Loki, and it feels like the second he hits TVA, he's almost done the full character progression that he did through
X amount of films.
Yeah, however many films. It felt like the character kind of picked up from there, but it shouldn't have. So I kind of expected a different Loki. And I'm still waiting for the really super manipulative Loki to really kind of pull out all the stops.
And it just seems a bit lacking in that. And I don't know, like the last episode for me was it was a lot of talking, not an awful lot of doing. And it just seemed to be an episode where all they said was season 2's coming.
Yeah. Look, low on the production value. They didn't really.
I mean, we are talking COVID, so like they are limited. But
yeah, but they went from the episode beforehand, where they actually did some stuff and paid a CGI animator for a bit, and then it was kind of just we're all going to sit in a room and talk it out.
Yeah. Look, I'll probably at least watch the first episode of next season. But it needs to do something for me.
I'll watch next season, but it definitely needs to go somewhere. It's just, I mean, I think it's so frustrating because there is so much potential.
Yes. Of all the characters, like Loki was the one I was most excited about. Wanda didn't really care too much about. Vision sort of likewise, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier even less so. So Loki was the one I was looking forward to. I wanted more of a Loki story and perhaps less of a TVA story.
Yeah, and it felt very much like they're setting up a bunch of series. So we've got the characters now. We know how they all interact. We know who's who. We know what's going on. We understand the basic mechanics of the TVA and that kind of whole shifting thing. And they kind of, that last episode really just introduces when they make the end decision, we go back to the start.
Yes. Yeah. No, fair call. Yeah. Anyway, that's done and dusted. Let's move on. I do want to mention, last episode I talked about MODOK and how I'd watched half an episode. I am now 8 episodes into a 10 episode season, and it's not held up like I wanted it to.
Oh, damn.
It's really trying so hard to be the Harley Quinn of Marvel. Like they've taken so much from the Harley Quinn TV show, but they've sort of left the humor behind, and it's trying to be funny, and it's very Robot Chicken, but the bad episodes of Robot Chicken. So
that is good to know in advance.
Yeah, look, I've got 2 episodes to go. They're not long episodes, and I will watch them. But it wasn't Harley Quinn, and it really needed to be.
Marvel, what are you doing with your TV, guys? Come on,
you
started
Marvel.
So well.
See, I'm still sticking with the whole DC does TV better than Marvel. And vice versa. Marvel does movies better than DC.
Yeah. What if will be
that'll be the test, but they need to have some really good characters. It can't be episode after episode about what if Black Widow does this, what if Captain America does this, what if Iron Man becomes Star-Lord, or whatever they're going to do. They need to sort of bring some new characters in. what is one of the ones I've got? Like, what if, what was it? Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and there were two others became the new Fantastic Four. Like something like that, something that brings in characters that we know but we haven't necessarily seen, and it's animated, so you can do that.
You can afford to, right? You can just bring in anyone you want, and I feel like that option to mix and match the different sort of universes that have been coexisting for a while, there's a real opportunity to do that. So, yeah, I'll be super curious, and I'm kind of hoping that they go with a. Again, it's one of those ones that you can kind of do just a random episode. You don't have to tie it in anything. You don't have to do anything. So you can just, let it off the hook. And they don't have to be the same style. They don't have to be the same, kind of flavor each time. You can go super dark. You can go super light and fluffy. I feel like there's so much potential just to test shit. And that'd be the fun thing, not knowing what you're getting every episode. So,
Look, there's probably on an equal level, there's a Star Wars TV show coming out called Visions, which is similar sort of line. It's just animated, sort of what if, storylines that are outside of canon. There was and we're talking way back when, I'm just trying to look at, it's behind Buddy the Krennic Pop's head at the moment, so I can't see exactly what it was called. It's either called Visions or Visionaries, which was a comic series that did that sort of thing, and they brought back Darth Maul way before anybody else did. This is, before the prequel trilogy were finished. They brought him back in an episode or a comic that had him track Obi-Wan down to Tatooine, and Obi-Wan's like older, so he's sort of halfway between Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness. Darth Maul had the huge horns that he'd been growing. He had, metal legs that he'd been replaced. So they've taken aspects of that and put that into canon and Clone Wars and stuff like that now. But it was the first time that anybody had brought back Darth Maul, and it was a fantastic visual piece, and just this hunt for revenge that Maul did on Obi-Wan, tracking him down and then eventually just falling to the same fate. But yeah, I'm more excited about Visions than I am about What If. But we'll wait and see.
Indeed.
On to the next one. How many episodes did you get in last night?
Only 3.
Only 3. Okay, 3 is decent. So yesterday, 5 episodes of Masters of the Universe Revelations dropped. I got through all 5. I had to. And it was an interesting watch. I
was surprised it took the approach that it did. It makes sense. Like, I feel like it's a better approach than just rehashing the same old.
Yes. Skeletor was a bit more of a beast.
I liked it.
He wasn't quite the bumbling idiot that he is in the old 87 cartoon.
No.
Is it 87? No, it's before that. 84, I think it was.
Damn. Yeah, they gave him a little bit of juice. I liked it.
He was Mark Hamilled up. That's what he was.
Yes, but the other thing I really liked about it is that kind of big climactic fight scene they do sort of at the end of sometime during episode 1. Like, they actually thought about how Skeletor would try and combat He-Man and what he would do and add some of that in. So it wasn't just necessarily random blast of magical power, hit sword, doesn't do anything. There was a little bit more to it than that. There was some trickery. There was some fun.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things they got right. It's not perfect.
I know.
But God, there's a lot of things they got right, and the big outcry against it before it came out was that it's supposed to be a He-Man show, not supposed to be a Teela show, and Apparently not.
Well, I mean, it's Masters of the Universe. It's not He-Man.
Yep.
Because it was before He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Exactly right.
So I feel like even just in the name, they almost kind of flagged it.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing you could, like, and not the coolest, right? But it's the Superman issue, right? You put Superman in any situation and Superman wins.
Yes.
Because he's Superman. And that was the problem with He-Man. I mean, that was the great thing about He-Man. Because, you know, you're a 6-year-old kid going, this is the coolest thing ever. But from a story perspective, having the auto win button doesn't make for an interesting story. So removing that and actually letting the rest of the characters develop and actually having semi-developed characters. Oh my God.
Yes.
With names like, you know, Punchaw and
Fisto was in there.
Yeah.
I was intrigued. Did you get, I think by episode 3 you would have, like the Triclops.
The whole Triclops thing is the best.
The whole Triclops thing, and that goes on a little bit more. And having not only Triclops be the way he was, but having him with Henry Rollins' voice was just the best. It just made it more in my eyes. They could have used Trapjaw a bit more, and Whiplash. I mean, they all make appearances. Trapjaw gets some lines, but not enough for my liking. But they're all kind of getting appearances, and they're coming into their own. So, episode 3 is that
they get through the underworld or whatever it is.
So they get through the underworld.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. So Scareglow was awesome. And I forget his name, always forget his name, but the guy that played Candyman in those films. And he was in the Final Destination films. He's a big black guy with like this ultra menacing voice, which is just so cool. The voice cast was spot on, I thought,
Bang on.
for the most part.
Yeah, pretty hard to miss that. Yeah, pretty hard to fault it. Super interesting. And then look, just the characters they've chosen to give some legs to is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who really needs to spend that much time with Roboto? But, you know.
Roboto was very C-3PO.
Yeah. It's interesting. I really dig it. I really dig the kind of awkward alliance thing.
Yep. The only thing that was slightly off for me was Kevin Conroy as Merman.
Yes.
Every now and then when Merman's talking, I hear Batman. But can't be helped.
No. And I just wanted him to be a little more piratey.
Arr. No, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I sat through all 5 episodes last night, and it ends in a big way. So that 5th episode is mid-season finale type thing. You know, you just go, okay, what the fuck is happening next? So I'm excited. I don't know when the last 3 or 5 or however many episodes there are drop, but I'm keen.
Yeah. No, I think it's done more good than bad.
Yeah.
I like the overall approach. I like the fact that they haven't just rehashed the old one, but they've actually taken it and run with it a little bit more. The voice cast is phenomenal. I'm keen. Again, it's not intellectual viewing. We're not stretching brain cells, but it's fun. Yeah. Big fan. So far, so good. I really hope they don't make me really want to buy toys.
Oh, look, it's already happened. And there's a bloody San Diego Comic-Con is coming up shortly, which is usually a little bit of a hit on me because they usually bring out some pop finals and things like that are exclusive, so you kind of have to get them at that time. And I think, ironically enough, now that I think about it, now that I've watched the show, Roboto and Whiplash are both ones that are coming out. But there's I just found out the other day by listening to the Geek Dudes podcast that there is a Scareglow SDCC limited edition action figure, which looks incredible and comes with like a LED box and all sorts of shit, which is not something that we will be getting at work. So I'm very upset because I kind of want it. I don't want it, but I want it.
I feel that.
Anywho, any more TV watching for you, sir?
Nah, that was about it. But you know what you've just made me do, which is really disappointing, is go back and check when Cool Mini or not bring out the Master of the Universe board game.
Oh, is that live yet?
I don't know. That's what I'm checking.
Oh dear. All right, you check that because I'm interested because I'm going to have to jump on that too.
Yeah. So what else have we watched?
I haven't watched anything else. I have been doing a bit of comic reading. So every now and then I've got like 2 bookcases full, and I mean full, like they are piled on top of the bookcases now, and I'm starting to really struggle, but full of graphic novels. And every now and then I'll just go through and go, well, I haven't read these ones for a while, and I'll just sort of pull them out and go through them in my own time. But I reread the Saga series recently, and it is like when I first started reading Saga, everybody who knew about it was telling me how good it was. And it's the kind of series that now I will tell everybody that I know how good it is, because it's a phenomenal series. All about, it's basically Romeo and Juliet in space. You know, there's this war that's been going on for ages against people who have horns and can use magic against like people with wings. And this war's been going on for so long that they've outsourced the war, because it was a planet fighting against its own moon. And, you know, if one of them wins, then they're both fucked. So they outsource the war. It's gone everywhere. And one person from each side falls in love and has a kid. And then they're on the run from both sides. And there are 9 books so far, 54 episodes. They have not released a Saga comic since 2018, but there are more coming. The story is apparently halfway through. They don't want to do 108 issues. And God, like, it is the best. And I reread all 9 books recently and was very upset when it finished. And like, especially as a dad too, and as a dad to a young daughter, which is what, you know, the baby is a young daughter, and some of the scenes just tug majorly. And it's so beautifully done, such a lovely story, and I need more. But I finished that, and then I moved on to rereading Matt Fraction's Sex Criminals, which I remember being quite good. And I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm reading it straight after Saga, which has made it slightly less good in my eyes, but I'm 3 books into the 5 books of that so far. So it's been keeping me busy, giving me a bit more comic time, which is good, because I've got heaps of them, and I do like to go back and reread them.
There are just a couple on the shelves over there. I remember when I used to do that. Anyway,
comics is so much easier because you can get through a graphic novel in like half an hour or so.
Yeah,
and you're done and dusted. And if you're getting distracted by something else, no problems. And whereas I think it's been a couple of months since I last read, but I'm halfway through the book I was reading. I can't remember what the book was called, let alone what was happening. So God knows what's going to happen when I eventually go back to it. I'm probably going to have to start it again.
Yeah. It's hard work.
But that's me as far as non-hobby goes. You got anything else to add?
Any other non-hobby things? No, I mean, the other unexciting stuff that I have been doing that's not really hobby focused, but kind of is like just, I'm trying to do a clean out at the moment. So I've got boxes of shit in the shed that I just haven't opened forever. I haven't looked at and probably won't use for a while. So just trying to do a little bit of a spring clean at the moment, and work out what's there and what's salvageable and what I want and what I'll use and what I won't, which is all kinds of fun. Fully with the intention that when I get rid of that, I will buy more. Like, who are we kidding? But, we'll run with that. And then...
So you're setting up a sale page on the TCG Facebook page? Is that what you're telling me?
I should do that. I hadn't considered that. Do you reckon someone wants to buy about 1,000 polystyrene hills?
Somebody will.
They've got sand. They've been painted at least one coat of green. They're basically ready to go. I've got like 4 boxes of the bastards. I don't need them.
Somebody does.
Surely. We'll see how that plays out. So, I mean, yeah, it's literally do a bit of a clean out so I can probably buy more. And then the other half of it is currently, after I did the snotling, so I stole a bunch of contrast paints off you to buy or to paint snotlings, right?
Yep.
And I did that, and I went,
you need to give those back at some point.
I did give those back. Whoa, back in. Hang on. I did a panicked scan around the desk then.
I made you look.
I know, right? I'm like, what? I'm sure. Anywho, so the
snotlings.
So the problem now is, I kind of think there's some potential, and it was kind of fun just playing with them, and I can't justify stealing them off you every time I want to play with them, which means I need to buy my own, and I don't know which ones to buy.
But you can play with anything of mine whenever you ask.
I know, but sometimes I don't want to have to ask. So therein lies the dilemma. So, but I legitimately think they're a fun tool to play with. They're useful. They've got a bunch of different ways you can use them, and it would be fun to use them a little bit more to try and work out where they fit into kind of the overall process. Like, how do you fit them in? How do you make them work? Or do they form part of the usual kind of process that you go through, or the workflow as you're kind of going from unpainted to finished? So having this thought, I'm like, right, well, let's grab some. Let's just bite the bullet and get a few and see whether they fit in, and how I end up finding myself using them. But which ones? Because there's a lot, and they're GW prices, so they're not the most inexpensive paint on the market.
No.
And I mean, they do also sell them with the full intent that you will slather models in them, which I don't think is necessarily the right way, but they do go on easy. So they are nice for a little base coat. And I've got some projects I think that they would suit really well for. So now I'm sitting here going, all right, if I was going to buy colours, what colours would I buy? And I'm trying to kind of restrict myself to a reasonable number, but that list changes on a daily basis at the moment. So I'm trying to work through the essential.
Well, they do have some weird colours too. Like, they've got like 20 shades of green and 20 shades of blue and 20 shades of brown, and then like 1 or 2 of everything else. Like 2 shades of red. Like, I would have thought that red would have been one of the bigger ones. So it's interesting that the range that they've got on them.
Yeah, there's some interesting choices. And I think the issue I also have is I don't necessarily know if they are the friendliest to mix, or if that's the way I'll end up using them heaps. So it's kind of like, it feels like you almost need the right colours to start with, or pretty close to. So yeah, I'm currently curating is the only term I can think of, a list of paint that I desperately need, along with, and then, as you're doing that, you're like, oh, well, I'm buying stuff. I should get some more of X, and I should buy this, and I'll get one of these. And so that list is getting unreasonable, and then I'm having to cut it right back, and then I keep adding little bits to it. So the other non-hobby thing I have doing is basically just making lists of shit I want and then trying to rationalize it.
Well, we are in lockdown, hopefully for not much longer, but didn't last lockdown you just went and bought like boxes and boxes of stuff? Like, what's going on? What's changed?
My vet
What's
bills.
wrong with this lockdown? That wasn't.
Well, and there's an interesting little piece, and this one's actually been really interesting, right? In that I feel like this lockdown being number 5 for Victoria, but also it's a little bit weird with Sydney and bloody South Australia and everywhere, basically.
We're not alone anymore.
No, but it also feels like those people that did the first 4 lockdowns and really didn't sweat it. There's a lot of people now that are just a little bit empty. Like they're just running on empty. They're just a little bit flat. And I'm sitting in a space at the moment where I'm finding it really hard to focus on a project at a time and just one thing and get excited about it and finish it and do it. And it's great. So I'm kind of just bouncing between stuff and never quite finishing anything. And it's this really, and that's probably also what's doing this. I feel like the last few lockdowns I went, I'm just going to buy shit because that's the thing I can do now. I can't play games, so I'll just buy a lot of shit. So when I can play games, I have it. And this one, I'm kind of going, but I've already bought a bunch of shit. I haven't played any of those games and I haven't painted any of it. I should do that and I should do this and I should do that and I should finish this one. And I'm going to start that one. I'm going to paint this model. And when we get to the actual hobby project like update, I feel like that will reflect my current lack of focus.
Well, shall we get to the hobby?
Let's talk to hobby.
All right.
So what have you been up to? Because mine is all over the place.
All right. Well, mine's fairly streamlined. So, I mean, just quickly before we do talk hobby, you stand by what we talked about a couple of episodes ago. And if you are doing it tough, like reach out, find somebody you can talk to. And we're always here for a laugh or to distract you or to talk seriously if you need. But hobby-wise for me, like I said, it's been fairly focused. I have a couple... No, I don't have any purchases. I got a gift in the mail one day. So Thursday, not this week, that's just gone, the week before. Got home from work and there's this package in the mail. And I looked at it, and I looked at my wife, and I'm like, I don't remember ordering anything.
It must have been a Kickstarter then, right?
No, see, the Kickstarters that I have backed, so I've got 3 coming, but they're all big box games. So this one definitely felt like minis. And it was from an Australian address. I'm like, I don't remember this at all. I opened it up. And there is Magneto and Toad from Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I got very excited. And I thought to myself for about 5 seconds, I'm like, where does this come from? Because I didn't do it. And quickly came to a conclusion and messaged you. You gave me some half-assed remark about, you finally succumbed to buying more.
Well, you've been talking about it for so long, I just assumed.
I think I sent back, don't do that. Don't be me. Don't deny that. Because I'm like, if he fucking carries on and changes the topic like I did for months about his birthday present, then I'm going to be pissed. So luckily you gave in pretty quickly.
It was a very firm, it was literally just, I think, because I'm like, you finally, pulled the trigger and you were just like, don't. Oh, shit. Fuck,
like, don't be me.
I'm like, fuck, Mum knows what I've done.
But yes, they were very much appreciated. They got put together, I think, that night. So they're all together and sitting on my desk ready for an undercoat so I can start painting them up. I'm a little bit concerned about these because, I mean, most of my MCP stuff I've done more or less just in contrasts. I'm not sure how I can do these ones. So Magneto in particular, he's going to be fun. I've got to make him look good because he's 6 points worth on the table or something. Yeah. So he's
a
the
cool
big
model.
boss.
I did
it
like
is a
him.
very cool model. I'm very, very fond of them, and I do like Toad's little tongue that he's got sticking out. So I got those. Thank you very much again. I have also organized a purchase, but I haven't actually spent money on it. But I should be getting a delivery tomorrow while I'm at work of a particular Blood Bowl team, which contains some, but not all Snotlings. So I'm excited about that. So I touched base with Rich from Throw the Dice today, and I'm like, I don't know if I can wait until you're open to get these ogres. So with any luck, I'll have my hands on those tomorrow.
Ooh, hello.
But yeah, that's that. I mean, that's it for new stuff. I have been doing some fairly consistent painting. So I finished off the Orc Shaman for Underworlds.
Mm-hmm.
Not my greatest piece, but I had a bit of fun with him, and I played around for a bit, and I'm like, this is, without spending a couple more hours on him, this is probably as good as I can get him. So he will do. He's not a team that I'm going to be playing overly often, but I was happy enough with him to leave him. From there, I moved on to the vampires. And the vampires is where I've been dedicating my time recently. So the vampires, as we have no doubt discussed numerous times, are 4 incredible looking models.
They have literally the best Underworld's warband that they've brought out.
Yeah, look, 3 of them in particular look incredible. The other one, I'm still not sold on her. She's got a lot of hair and it's all over the place, and I'm already finding it very hard to get into all the nooks and crannies on the model. It's one of those ones that I think maybe I should have painted this one. I never do it, but maybe I should have painted this one before I assembled. But what I've been trying to do is follow the GW method, because I really liked the red that they got on their models, and I really wanted to do something like that. So I've been more or less sticking to the GW idea. I've been playing around a bit with the parts and changing colors as I see fit, but the red armor definitely. And that's involved using contrasts in a bit of a different way. Mm-hmm. So one of which, the sort of bronze on some of the armor pieces uses the wildwood, which is a really dark brown contrast, but it uses it pretty much as a wash.
Yep.
So you just stick that over the top and then paint the highlighted areas and keep going. But the other one, which is really interesting, and how we got the red to look as detailed as it is, and I'm really happy with the 3 models I've finished so far. I've got one more to go, the Lady of the Many Hairs, and I started her today, and
that is a 70s porn movie right there.
It is, isn't it? But the red is just, I followed what they said, and mine is not as crisp and clear as theirs is by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty close. But it involves like a base red, which is more a burgundy than a red.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the Nuln Oil wash over the top,
mm-hmm.
and then layer it back up with that base, and then good old Mephiston red over the top. And then they said, I can't remember what they said, some Ungor flesh or something, like a really light sort of yellowy brown, which I did not own. So I just used something else which was close enough.
Yep.
For the highlights. And because it's like this more orangey yellow than anything else, it really shows on the red. But then use sort of a watered down red contrast over the lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of makes it blends it all together. You can still see the highlights distinctively, but they're no longer yellow. They're red tinged.
Yep.
So it just really really kind of worked, and I'm really impressed with it. And it's kind of shiny as well. I like it.
And honestly, I think that kind of use of the contrasts, like that's where I've been having the fun with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of using them as that kind of overall filter glaze kind of thing over the top, just to pull everything together, because it's still a pretty heavy color. Like even when you thin them right down, they keep their pigment. So it gives that red tint in this case to everything that's under it, but you still get the variation of the shadow and the highlights and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm finding them really easy to work with. No, they are very pretty though. I 100% agree. And I think, I'm really glad that GW are coming out with these kind of tutorials as well, and are not just going with the one thick coat approach, but actually going, here's how else you can use them to do some cool stuff. I think that's, really clever.
Yeah, I sat down and watched the video that they put out, and I was like, okay, well, this has got a few things that I wasn't expecting in it. And of course, they always do it. Here's how you paint the leader. And by using these methods, you can paint the rest of the warband.
Yeah.
So it pretty much used like the pictures on the website for ideas of how they'd painted them, which bits they'd done red and which bits they'd done this sort of ethereal greeny black and stuff like that. And then went, I think that bit should be red and that bit should be something else. And I want the wings on my winged guy to be black and red rather than the sort of fleshy color they had. And so I sort of just played around with it like that. So, but still, getting through them reasonably quickly, not because I want to get them done quickly and just bash them out. I really wanted to make them look good. But most of these have taken, 2 solid nights and a bit of here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an awful lot of time. For me, they look really good. And I'm just hoping that when Throw the Dice does open up, and if we can get that Underworlds game going with the Hobby Homies guys, that this will be the team that I field. And I really want them to all to be painted. So that's my goal. But with that, just quick little update on the numbers. Last year, 86 was my number last year. So I finished 86 models last year. And with the amount of time that I've been, actually painting this year, I was definitely going to beat that. So currently we are sitting at 91 with the vampire that I finished today. So we're there, we're past, we are still within July, and we're on the home stretch to hit that 100 mark.
Yeah, we're hitting triple digits soon.
Yeah, look, with one more vampire to go, and then potentially 2 more halflings that I need to finish off. But then we're looking at the Ogre Blood Bowl team, and that's going to push me over.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
So, that's my hobby.
Dang. So the way this played out is, as I said, I've been doing these snotlings for the Sevens League, and they are like 90%, I'll say, done.
Mm-hmm.
There's mostly done. And then just to make it look even more done, I did the base rings the other day and just blacklined all the rims. And they could pass for a painted team on the table without too much of a stress, but they're not. And there's just a few bits that are still white, or clearly not finished. And I have every intention of going back and doing them. And there's a few sort of touch-ups and things like the scales on the trolls. So the trolls, I've got the same kind of green colour skin as I've done on all the snotlings. Happy days. That Creed camo is actually a really nice kind of orc skin. I know there is an orc skin, but I like this one more.
I do like the Creed camo. I picked that up at one point because I think I was doing my Nurgle.
Yeah.
And I went to the shop and I'm like, the video had one of these greens. I'm pretty sure it was Creed camo. And I got home and it wasn't Creed camo, it was the other one. So I took it back and swapped it over. And then, I don't know, maybe a week later I bought Creed camo again.
No, I like it, but the troll, they've got these scales as well, and I just want it to look a little bit different. So I'm trying to work out what color I'm going to do those. I've re-highlighted a bunch of them, so whatever color will stand out. But I might do it just a more actual vibranty green or something. Who knows? But it's things like now it's nails and teeth and claws and shit. It's there's a little snotling with a hat and it's got a bell on the end and the bell is not painted.
Oh dear.
It's that kind of stuff. Any of the things I was going to do like a gold or a bronze haven't been done yet. There's a few bits and shits. But apart from that.
How's the egg?
I know that I should know what we're talking about.
Have you done a fried egg for one of your
no, I've started the egg.
Okay, cool.
So the egg is, again, that is one of the started bits. Right, I totally know what you're talking about. Wow, how did that go missing? Anyway, and then I got distracted and started doing a couple of the tokens for it, but I basically started them, threw some colours on and went, I'll deal with that later, and I'll come back to that at some stage. And then I got excited by the idea of playing with oil paints. So even though these are 90% done and would really probably take a night to finish, I stopped painting snotlings and I picked up one of the elves from the Diachasm box, the high elf, whatever they're called now. They're high elves. And went, bugger it, I'm going to try this, and just slapped oil paint on things and tried some different techniques and just see how that came together. So I spent a couple of nights doing that. And
they look pretty.
It was fun. And honestly, the difference it is painting with oils, like it was actually super fun just to try something completely different. It feels really different painting with them to painting with acrylics. And it kind of, the thing with oils is they stay wet. So acrylics dry really quickly, generally. So oils very much don't. I came back the next day and I was still had paint I could move around on the model. So it basically means that everything you're wet blending, everything always, because the paint is always fucking wet. So you end up basically putting paint on the model and then just pushing it around with a brush and moving. And it doesn't have the same thing that acrylics have where basically in every instance a dark color covers a light color. It kind of almost works in reverse. The light colors almost overpower some of the darker colors. So it's this really weird concept of going, I've put too much, or I've started blending these together and now there's too much of the shadow in this bit. And then you just drag some of the highlight down and fix that. And then you pick some paint up from somewhere else on the model and you smush it around a bit and you get a little bit of more paint on the brush as you're going along and it just changes the tone of things. And you end up doing all of the blending and mixing and everything basically on the model. And it was a really weird but super fun experience just to try something completely different. Like I found it pretty easy to get really smooth blends just with a brush, just from one color to the next, and then go back and fix it and go, that's not dark enough at the dark bit now because I've put too much of the highlight through and vice versa and play with that. But I'm also not sure how to get those really specific kind of highlights and stuff in some spaces that you're so used to doing, like edge highlighting and stuff. And the difference with edge highlighting here is because all of the paint is pretty much always wet, is you don't get a clean line of, white on the edge of something. If you're trying to edge highlight it with white, it kind of tints with the undercolor and blends itself a little bit. So trying to get the level of contrast that you want is the bit I've been really kind of trying to work my head around. So really fun. And I spent a couple of nights doing that on Elf number 1. And then I picked up Elf number 2 when Elf number 1 was nearly finished. There's some bits that are missing and I still haven't done the base, but let's just move on because who needs to be structured and, finish one thing before we move on to the next.
Especially bases.
And then I'm looking at him now, and so he's got hair and he's got this kind of top knot ponytail thing, but there's this big metal kind of thing sticking off his head to hold his top knot. That's not painted. His shoes aren't painted. There's just stuff I didn't paint. I should probably go back and finish that one day. Things like that. But I went, fuck that, and I moved on to the next one. And even though I was having lots of fun playing with oils and doing all those kind of things, I went, I wonder how different it is getting a finish with oils and acrylics and how different they look. So I ignored all the previous things I'd done in the last one and picked up a completely different type of paint, and I painted the second one with my standard acrylic paints just to see what the difference was side by side. And then I went, oh, that's pretty different. So I put an oil wash over the top of that. So he's pretty much done except for the base ring. I'll do that at some point, maybe. But now they're standing side by side, and I have two models in the same crew painting with completely different techniques and completely different paints, and I'm not sure how I'm going to make them work together at all. And I'm not sure
I still stand by you could put them, because I've seen pictures of both.
Yeah.
I'll look at them in person, of course, but still stand by that. There are enough similarities between the two models that you would recognize them as members of the warband.
Maybe. This is my unconvinced face. I'm looking at them now and I'm just going, all right, well, maybe if I did some more shading here, I did that, and I dirtied this up on this model, and I added, do the bases the same. We'll see what difference that makes. I don't know.
See, I'd like to stop right now and just point out to anyone that's listening, this is the difference between me and Jace. I just told you how I was like, yeah, this Orc Shaman's done enough. Whereas I don't think Jace ever finishes anything.
Well, I mean,
you just put it aside and start working on something else. I don't think you're ever 100% happy.
No, you get sick of things and then you stop working on them. They are done enough. That is exactly how it works. Yes. Isn't that how everybody works? I just assumed.
Look, yeah, this is probably why there's such a vast difference in the quality that you and I put out. Carry on.
My now conundrum is I'm 2 models-ish into a 4-model crew.
So you got to finish the other 2.
But how do I paint them given I have done completely different things on the first 2? Do I do completely different things on the next 2 and
yes.
see if I can somehow make them all look vaguely like they're from the same place? And if so, what things do I do? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. This just got existential. But anyway, what am I doing? Why am I here? So long story short is painted a little bit more snotlings, did a couple of elves. That's probably about all the hobby I've done. It's about, a few nights in the grand scheme of things. I feel like I've had a few nights off and I've just fucked around for some others. But I'm now stuck in the middle of this elf crew going, how the fuck do I finish them? And we will see.
Just dive headfirst in and don't think too much. This is your problem. You think too much.
Oh,
I perhaps
that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. Anywho, that'll do for me. I've rambled enough.
Well, shall we talk about some games?
We did game-ish.
Yeah.
It counts.
So, yeah, it definitely counts. I still have been working my way through Worms. So Worms Rumble has been taking up a bit of my time. It's an interesting game because, like I said earlier, it's basically COD Worms. And the more I play it, the better I get. I think the last game I just went 12-0. So 12 kills, no deaths, and completely top scored. I'm nearly level 22, but it's an interesting game in that sometimes it can take up to an hour for me to find a game. So it's been kind of cool to have on if I remember it's on in the background while I'm painting, and then I'll hear a slight change in the music, look up and go, oh shit, okay, I'm playing. Nip off for 10 minutes while I play the game, and then come back and do some more painting while I wait for the next one. So it's been fun. I wish the matchmaking was a bit better, but I have enjoyed it. You, me, and Lethal still need to get on and have a game or two.
I've played about 3 games, and in every single game, you wait an hour for it to match. It hasn't actually been that bad, but I haven't got to the stage where I'm doing other stuff while it's matchmaking, so I'm waiting and I'm watching that pot, and it ain't boiling. And then eventually I get matched, and then I show up, and because I've played all of about 3 games, somebody hoses the shit out of me, and then I watch the rest of the game. So there's been a lot of that. And by a lot, 3 games worth, and then I haven't got around to it again.
Are you playing Team Deathmatch, or are you playing something else?
Yes.
Because are you respawning?
I didn't think they were. No.
See, that's the issue. You got to play Team Deathmatch because you go along, you shoot things for a while, somebody shoots you, you die, you respawn, come back in, and do it all over again.
That sounds much more fun.
It is. Yeah, no, I'm not one for these, last man standing type games or whatever. So
let's do that.
But anyway, apart from that, we did get together with Ollie from the Hobby Homies Discord, and we had our first session of Black Crusade. And it was good. We still don't know what we're doing.
No, that was probably the most obvious part of the whole thing.
We sort of fumbled our way through a bit.
And look, I had a bit of a chat to Ollie because he was in one of the Hobby Homies hangouts, hobby hangouts over Tuesday that they normally do. And look, that's the other thing I've been getting into a little bit, especially during lockdown, just to keep up the extrovert in me. Is Hobby Homies have had a few of them. There's been a couple of Throw the Dice ones that Rich has kind of hosted in his Discord. I think Meg hosted.
He has a
one.
Discord?
Yeah, there's a Throw the Dice Discord.
I did not know this. Carry on.
Anyway, Meg's got one for Arcane Paintwork, so she's hosted a couple of kind of hangouts. So I've just been bouncing between like a floozy. Painting in anyone's Discord, and just talking shit. So that has been good. But I was talking to Ollie in one of the Hobby Homies ones, just saying it was great. It was good fun, but I feel like we kind of just follow the leaded a little bit. He just said, and you see this door, so we go through the door, and that was about as complex as our decision making process went. And he called out. He goes, "Look, yes." But also it was a pretty straightforward session designed to give us an idea of how the mechanics of the game worked and to give him time to kind of explain, all right, now we're in a situation where you need to do a thing. This is how you do the thing, and this is how which dice you roll and what they mean and all that kind of fun. So it was
that's good.
Very much geared towards that. So I felt less bad about our ineptitude.
Yeah, well, at some point, surely we're going to get better. Surely.
I mean, what do we say at the very start of these things?
Maybe not. I'm impressed that you're getting along to especially the Hobby Homies Discord things. I'm just not on Discord enough these days that I usually log in at some point either late on a Tuesday or early Wednesday, not on purpose, but it just so happens to go, oh yeah, there was a thing last night, and to see all the millions of chat things about it.
Yeah.
I always forget it's on.
It's Tuesdays, I think, is basically, and it's only because Burnsy is insisting that they happen. And it's honestly, I think the only reason I realize that they're on and happen is because at some point during the day, because I'm working from home as well, I just need to stop looking at a screen. So I stop looking at my computer screen and pick up my
and
phone.
look at it, another screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. I just
Makes sense.
have to not focus on work for a little bit. And it's like, all right, what can I do to entertain myself for 5 minutes? And it's scroll through Facebook or it's scroll through Discord and see what's changed. They're basically the options. So sometimes it's Facebook and sometimes it's Discord and sometimes it's both when I really don't want to think about work. So that is about the only reason I remember these things happen. But then I'm like, most nights I try to sit down and paint anyway. So it's also a piece of, all right, what am I going to listen to while I'm painting? And is there a YouTube, channel I'm currently burning through? Is there some stuff on Patreon I'm currently burning through? Is there someone on Twitch I want to follow for a bit? Or, who's chatting in Discord? That's kind of been a semi-regular thing, and there's been stuff on a lot of nights. So it's kind of been nice just to sort of connect with everybody. But yeah, the good news with this one, how to chat to Ollie, basically not our fault.
Okay, cool. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
You're not jumping on. You should be streaming with me.
I should be. I got really shitty with the technical things that I wasn't happy with.
Mm-hmm.
So things I need to do and or buy and or stuff. The webcam I got said it had autofocus. It doesn't autofocus, and it made me angry. And then I went, right, well, I've got other things here that I should be able to use as a webcam. So one of those is like a GoPro, but like a knockoff GoPro. But unfortunately, I've had that for a while, and I'm reasonably sure it's unsupported by everything. So my USB port doesn't realize it's a camera. And I can't find any firmware to update or anything to tell it that it's a camera because it's a little bit older. And then I went... but
no one's heard of a GoPro.
Yeah, it's that kind of... Yeah. And then the other one is I went, well, I've got an actual reasonably good like DSLR camera. And that's a thing that you could totally theoretically use. But after fuck knows how long of dicking around with it, without kind of hacking the firmware on it, I can't get it to spit out a clean HDMI signal. It's got like all the bits around the when you look through the viewfinder and it tells you what the f-stop is and the this is and all that shit I don't actually understand. And it's got like a little focus box in the middle of it and stuff like that. It spits all that out. So I spent a bunch of time trying to get both of these things to work and neither did. And then I got shitty at life and need to go back and just probably buy a second webcam. But that's where I got to.
No,
and that's why I haven't been doing it. Also, my wife got a little bit obsessed with some shit that is not available on free-to-air TV, so is only available on the laptop. Mm-hmm. And so she stole that for a bunch of nights.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I try and get on painting most nights, and if I feel like I'm going to be there for a little while, I have been jumping on Twitch and streaming a bit, but it has been a while since we've done one together.
Yeah, I should fix that.
Anyway, we're getting totally distracted.
Anywho, back to playing games, back to Black Crusade.
We are a noise marine and a wannabe samurai.
Sounds about right.
Yep. Who, I mean, we're getting the hang of the role playing of the fairly obvious
two-dimensional, one-dimensional, dimensional.
Not hatred, but just disgust we have for each other as characters.
Yeah, and I feel like it's trying to find a balance between progressing the session and not getting hung up on just heckling each other. Mm-hmm. But also the fact that because it's currently just the two of us, so hopefully that changes very soon. Yeah. Like it's very easy to get hung up on the heckling.
Which we kind of did in our first session.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. Well, hopefully we'll find a bit of a balance and maybe another couple of hangers on to lighten that load a little bit. Give us someone else to
To heckle. But yeah, anyway, we met up. We got sort of roped in by some chaos general to... No, we got roped in by the Eye.
Yeah.
Somebody serving a creature called the Eye who wanted us to go to a chaos general and join his fight, but also find this book as we were doing that and get the book back to him. And it's all very shady and double-crossing from the sounds of it, which is good.
Yep, on board.
Yeah. We met up with this general. Before we met up with the general, we were wandering to the general, and we had a couple of guys come across us. 4 guys. You being the sort of bloodthirsty person that you are, took a swing at one of them while he was in mid-sentence. I mean, admittedly, they were harassing us, and it was always going to end in a fight anyway.
It was ending in a fight, and I'm just like, let's not beat around the bush here.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it would have been infinitely cooler if he had been chatting and I had just blown his head off, and he didn't finish his sentence, but I didn't roll that way, and
it was a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging back. I hung back a little bit because I'm more the shooty sniper type guy. And then, so Ollie gave me a couple of options. I'm like, well, let's go for this one. And multi-shot, that sounds fun. Sure, I've got negatives to hit, but, if I roll under, I don't know what it was, under 48 or something, 40-something on a D100, it was, reasonable chance. Then I'd hit, and if I rolled really less than that, I'd hit a bunch of times. So I thought, let's go for this. Let's try and hit him as many times as possible. And rolled an 8, which, in any other game, a low number is a bad thing, but this is a good thing. It's kind of like golf. So my first attack scored 4 hits on this guy, blew him into pieces, and then that was me spent for the rest of the session, I think. Because I pretty much failed to do anything more. You took a couple of swipes you had 2 guys on you, and I had a guy running towards me. I took pot shots at him. Didn't do too much damage. Eventually, you finished off your guys, came up, hit my guy. He ran away. I had a shot at his back, which I needed a 74 or less on a D100 to hit him in the back and get some sort of credibility back. And I rolled a 75. So, yay, go me. But my 4 hits at the start were fucking impressive.
They were amazing. And what became fun during that, one little confrontation between us was, I feel like the heckling escalated at that point in time. We were kind of finding our feet in the first little bit, and we're kind of going, all right, what's the storyline? What have we got to do? How does this work? And all that kind of fun. And we were kind of just starting to rip on each other a little bit. And then these guys came up, and you were just like, oh, look what I can do, and just mowed some dude down. And so then all of my decisions from that point onwards were very much flavored with which looks the most impressive if this works.
And some of yours did.
And I mean, there was one bit there. So, there's one of these dudes who's got this giant 2-handed sword thing that is swinging at me. And I'm like, right, well, it's more likely that I'm just going to hit him in the chest if I go for center mass. But no, let's not do that. Let's load up and see if we can just lop his arms off at the wrists and just leave him there bleeding, because that will look cooler. So
what use is a double-handed sword if you haven't got hands?
Yeah, this is where I'm at. So it was that kind of fun, all of it, that we were just like, right, watch this. I'm almost getting flashbacks to Lord of the Rings with the Gimli Legolas body count kind of thing going on. It still counts as one.
Well, it was pretty much, that was the only fight, wasn't it?
That was the only sort of.
So you're ahead 3-1. Whatever.
I'm just going to write that down.
Yeah, you can keep note. It's burned in my brain.
Good.
Next session. Hopefully, maybe this week.
Yes.
We can work on changing it around.
Yes, but I mean the interesting piece will be, so for anyone who is interested in following the story. Long story short is we get summoned to this weird temple thing. Some random semi-demon thing said, "Go help this guy win a war, and while you're at it, get me a book." So we rock up to this general's camp. We say, "Hey, we're gonna win you this war. Also, we're not going to tell you, but we need a book." And he basically, the premise is there is a city nearby, and they're so currently the guys we're helping are besieging a city. The city has sent for help, and so they've sent to this neighboring city for help, and we have to go there and persuade them that they should help the besieging city, or the besiegers, not the besiegees. Help us, not them.
Besiegees.
Or find, yeah, because they're staying alive.
I know. Oh dear. Carry on.
So, I mean, long story short is we have to go and through, cunning, guile, or persuasion, convince this neighboring city that they should help us, not them, or find the person arguing for the opposition and lop his head off. They're the options as I see it anyway. So we've shown up at this city. We found a big old house, temple, castle thing at the middle of that city.
Pyramid.
We walked up those stairs and we knocked on the door, because that is the level of subtle we're going for right now.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, how the fuck are we going to do this? Like, do we try and, stop this guy on his way to the meeting? How do we know who he is? Blah, 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 blah. And after all that, we're like, oh, fuck it, let's just go up the stairs.
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, we've shown up at this city, and I'm like, right, so we've got to be smart about this. Like, we need to find out who it is and where they're going to be and how it's going to do it and what's going on, and get some sort of recon going on. I don't know how to do any of that. Let's just go up and knock on the door. And so we did.
And the pyramid was full of bright colors and people doing drugs and all sorts of, things like that. And as a noise marine, this not only made me very happy, because that's all the sort of things that my character will want to do, but also seemed to give us free entry in the first place.
I know, right? It's like it was planned that way.
I know. You can't write these things. Oh, you can, but yeah. So we're up in a pyramid, ready for the next session, which is hopefully be this week. And look, just while we're talking about it, shout out to Ollie, because he's obviously does a shitload of work in organizing these, plotting the stories, guiding us through, and is an absolute gentleman doing so.
Yeah, he's putting up with our shit. Like,
I know, God, and that says a lot. Anyway.
Why don't you just stop and reflect on what it would be like to try and, games master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, an RPG with these two dickheads as your characters?
I've just had a memory flashback of 18, getting my mum to pick me up from a party, and acquaintance in the back, and then having to pull over for him numerous times so he could throw up from all the beer he'd had, and just the memory that I have of putting up with him is kind of what I feel Ollie probably feels with us. Just the absolute disgust.
It's that as you're holding the hair back.
Oh, I was not holding it back. I was like, fucking hurry up. Are you coming? Have you finished? Are you getting back in the car, or do I leave you here?
Hang on. Alrighty. And on that
note, let's take a break.
Let's take a break. and come back and talk about some other stuff.
Other stuff.
And I've hit go. Let's do a thing.
Okay. Deja vu.
I know, right? No one else gets this, but anyway.
No one else gets any of our inside jokes.
No.
This whole thing is an inside joke, I think. Shall we now? Let's move on. Let's talk about what's on around the traps. This is our usual format. So, we talk about our hobby update. We talk about a gaming update, which is not very much because of lockdown. And then we talk about what's on. So, what is on? We've got, with any luck, lockdown is finishing this week for us. Touch wood, hopefully, because with any luck, Throw the Dice will be reopening. And if that's the case, then next Saturday will be a big one for me. I'm really, really itching for it. I want to get out there. I want to play with these vampires. I want to play some Underworlds. Have a bit of fun.
Just want to see the new space.
Oh, I want to see it. I watched the live thing that they did earlier this week. I watched that today, and just the room that they were in just looked so cool. So I'm itching to get there. They've also got Throw the Dice's still organising Winter Wipeout. So if you are interested, if you want to get along to Winter Wipeout, you've got till the end of the month to get tickets. Tickets are filling up, I think. I don't know if 40k might be full.
40k will be close to.
Yeah.
They know how to buy tickets there in the 40k leagues. The rest of you guys take note. Do that.
Yes.
But Infinity's still got some spaces. Lord of the Rings, I assume, has got some spaces.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the three of them. I think
yeah.
Age of Sigmar people did not buy tickets, so there is no Age of Sigmar.
And what have we learned from this? People buy the fucking tickets.
Buy tickets.
Anyway.
Support your local
and I mean that's
tournament store.
Well, I mean that's the other thing. Like, firstly, opportunity to play games in this environment at the moment, just take it, right?
Yes.
Because fuck, we might get locked down again, and then you'll be bitching about not being able to play games. So just go.
What do you
to
mean
fucking
might?
games.
Like, it's gonna happen. Like, we've got the rest of the year.
No, they've got to do something with this vaccine rollout just so we don't have to deal with this shit anymore. But anyway, but yes, long story short is a chance to play games that you've been bitching about not being playing games for however long. So show up to these things. And the other one is just like these places, like stores like this, putting on events. These are the guys that have been hurting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For this whole fucking thing. Like, just
They're
an
doing
opportunity
anything.
to support.
They're doing anything they can to keep afloat. Seems extreme, but
It's not
at
far
the end
off.
of the day, it's a business. They've got to make money, otherwise they're not going to be here. So, I mean, I know that for example, Rich has been doing deliveries. Like if you're in the local area, then he is driving out and delivering the products that you order. Which is how I'm going to get those ogres tomorrow, which is really kind of him, but it's something, not necessarily he should be doing. It's just a result of the times that we live in at the moment.
Yeah. So anyway, can recommend Winter Wipeout.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play any of those games and you are
if you want to watch
any level, otherwise, get along. It'll be a fun day regardless of whether you're playing, spectating, or just showing up to heckle.
That'll be me.
Yeah. Other stuff that is going on around the traps. The Hobby Homies Winter Paint Comp is still in full swing.
Yep.
That is, pick a model, paint it with some winter colors. That's about all of the criteria. What are the colors? White, grey, and blue.
Pretty
from
much.
Memory, I think.
Have you chosen a model?
I sort of.
Fair enough.
I know the model I want to paint for it, but that model terrifies me. So
yes, yeah, of course. Just do it.
Now I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Just do it. Just say you're going to do it, and then that'll force you to do it.
Have you met me? It means
that'll force you to do some of it.
It means I need to start it, yeah. And then, anyhow. So, we'll see. I should. Anyway. So that is going till winter is done. And then a couple of other things that I wanted to flag going on. The Target Acquired guys have got 2 events in October. That is how busy they are.
Yes. You might have heard us talking about them on the last episode.
Yeah. We went to one of their events. Turns out they're pretty good. Go to more. So the 40K one that they're running, Law Abiding Citizens, is disappointingly full, but you can get on the wait list if somebody drops out. But I was chatting to Dave about this the other day, and the super cool thing with Law Abiding Citizens as an event is they've pushed a real they want to push it really fluffy, right? It's not a super serious, super, go in, go hard event. So what they have done is they've said when you sign up, you nominate which army and which sub-faction and stuff you want to run, and then no one else can use that.
Ooh, I like that idea.
So if you are the first person to sign up, and I guarantee you, Matty Edwards was the first person to sign up, and he said, "I'm playing Space Wolves." No one else can play Space Wolves. I've seen the player list, and there's sub factions. So some people are saying I'm playing Tyranids, but I'm playing Hyde Fleet, fucking somebody, and someone's
Kraken.
So somebody's playing what's Kraken, and somebody else is playing something else. So you're not stopped from playing that army, but it means you are the only one that can play that sub-faction. The other thing that they have spent fuck knows how much time doing is going through and saying, if you're playing this sub-faction, then here is some additional restrictions to your list building. You can't just power game the shit out of it.
Okay.
And so
that takes a hell of a lot of effort.
So much. And I heard they were doing that. And they're basically, they're not considering balance per se. They are going, what makes this faction this faction? What is kind of the quintessentials, and let's make sure they represent. So yeah, I haven't gone through all the restrictions and stuff because I didn't care that much, but as a concept, I love it.
That's really cool. I do not know that, and I am much happier in knowing that.
Yeah.
Because that sounds cool.
So that is Law Abiding Citizens. There will be spaces hopefully show up because somebody will drop out. So chase that one. And then the other one is Road to Terror, which is their 30K event on the 23rd and 24th of October, of which I still think there are spaces available.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are into the historical wargaming of the fictional sense,
It's like 40K, but in the past, but it's still in the future, but it's in the past of the future.
Yeah, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far. Anyway, but still in the future. So they're pumping out events. They're putting so much work into this stuff, and they're putting so much work into building new tables and making custom missions and just making sweet ass events. So can fully recommend those guys. And if you're into either of those games, or again, you just want to go and have a gander, can recommend.
And an intriguing thought with 30K is from the sounds of it, from all, rumor control, this is something that GW is probably taking over from Forge World. So it will be
a mainstay,
a game
yes,
that you can pick up in a Warhammer store. So if you're, hell no, whatever, we don't know if it'll happen by October or not, but it's definitely something that for those regular players or somebody that wants something a little bit different,
but not having to rely on Forge World to support step one. The flip side is there are 30K players and 30K players, right? If you want to play a game of 30K, you're super keen on giving it a go, and you don't have the exact right mark of power armor, I'm reasonably sure Lockie and Dave will be okay with that. So that's probably not the issue there, but there's some super cool stuff out there. And if it does get mainstay GW support, that there's a lot of potential. We've seen the standard internet both rage and excitement at that prospect. It's great. The only other one I wanted to call out, only because I'm a little bit excited about it personally, is there is a Blood Bowl painting competition.
You mentioned this the other day.
Yes.
I don't know anything about it.
So I only found out about it because I'm in what's this Facebook group that I'm in? It's literally called Blood Bowl Painting Community.
Okay.
There you go. And it showed up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm interested because I like painting competitions and I like Blood Bowl. And I cannot lie. So it's very much, reasonably freeform in that you paint some models, you throw them into the competition folder or tag yourself in social media with the little hashtag thing. But they've got categories for a whole bunch of, they've got a website, thebloodbowlpainter.com. So you can actually find all that stuff on there. And they're doing awards for things like best team, best single miniature, best big guy, best star player, best green skin. There's a Black Orc Down award. And then they've got one called the Dead Set Legend. And this is the one that I got a little bit excited about. So there is one of the Imperial Nobility retainers, with being the little dude with that little pipe out his mouth.
I do like that model.
They've basically said that is the single model that is to be painted for their Dead Set Legends category. So you can choose to enter that. You can choose to just enter any of the other categories. So immediately when I saw that, because I love restrictions on painting competitions, they're my favorite thing ever. It makes me think less, and I love it. I messaged our Blood Bowl League chat and said, hey, does anybody have a spare one? Because I have one, but I want to use him for something else. And James literally went, yeah, I've got one. I'll drop him around. So he's now sitting on my desk.
Excellent. Good old James.
I know, absolute champion. And I'm like, what do you want? Do you want money? Do you want, sexual favors? He's like, nah, it's cool. I'll just throw him in your letterbox. So he threw him in my letterbox, and I got him in my letterbox, and it was a contactless delivery of the best kind. So there is a judging panel. There are awards. There is a whole lot going on, and I just think it's cool. So that one is running until the 6th of September. Mm-hmm. So 6 weeks, basically.
Intriguing. I've just applied to join the Facebook group. I had to name 3 star players, and that took me a lot longer than it should have. But anyway, no, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued.
Alrighty. Oh, look, you just submitted entries on the website. I'm just looking at it now. Anyway, I will stop doing that, and I will get back to the point. So that was the last thing I wanted to call out, only because I got excited. But now I'm wondering whether I can paint this retainer in white, grey, and blue, and double dip.
It seems cheeky.
I know.
I'm sure there's a paint color missing in that too. Anyway, so last thing about what's on is we've been going for a while now. We've had our 1-year anniversary. We did a painting competition last year, which we had a lot of fun with, and we got a lot of entries, which we're really, really proud of, and really hats off to everybody that entered the last competition. We loved every single one of yours, and I hope that in our little episode where we went through each and every one, that we did you guys justice. But we want to do that again.
Look, it was fun. And we have been talking about it between ourselves for the last little bit, going, we should do something else, and then forgetting about it, and then going, we should do something like that again. And that conversation has legitimately happened, I don't know how many times. And then
over the last couple of episodes, definitely.
And then, the second half of that conversation is, what are we going to do? We can't just do the same thing. That'd be boring. But we also want to make it kind of something that everyone could get involved in. Because
we'd like to restrict, but not restrict too much.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we need to create some boundaries, but what boundaries are going to let people still play?
So yeah, there were numerous ideas which got thrown around, and some of which I liked, some of which I liked more. But I think we've hit the nail on the head, and I think we've come to a decision that is very TCG focused.
It's in the spirit of the cast.
It totally is. It really embiggens what we're about.
I love the fact that you put embiggens.
This is a momentary flash. I'm like, oh crap, I've got to say embiggens, because how often do I get to use that word? Anyway, so we don't want to restrict you too much. We're going to say you can enter anything you want. Single model, multiple models, doesn't matter on scale, size.
Game system, whatever. No. Like, I don't care if it's historical, I don't care if it's fantasy, I don't care if it's sci-fi, I don't care if it's pulp, I don't care if it's hand sculpted, digitally sculpted. Do what you want.
Yeah. We're all about giving you the options. And we don't want to restrict you too much, but we want to give it our little spin as well. So what we're saying is that somewhere on your model or models, you have to give us what we want. And what we want...
What we really, really want...
is a Zigga Zigga. No, is pink. Pink, I mean, anyone that knows me knows that my answer for everything, if anybody asks an opinion on a model, I'll say it needs more pink.
It's often not helpful.
It's more often than not, it's not helpful. but pink is I don't know. There's just something about pink on a model that, and I think it goes. It's my fascination with pink goes back to two areas. So back in the old days when I used to play Rainbow Six Vegas online, and there was, if you built up your character long enough, you could get this awesome, amazing looking pink camo. And so as soon as we got that, we all decked ourselves out in pink camo. And what happened was anyone that jumped into the room to play with us and saw us all decked out in pink and instantly jumped out of the room, they were the people we did not want to play with. And it was perfect. It was like a little,
censorship, but
exactly. It was like it got rid of the shitheads before they became shitheads. And same thing happened with a friend of mine, Jace. He was playing EverQuest 1, and in EverQuest 1 you could dye your armor different colors. And so he played this warrior tank with pink armor. And he said the same thing. It just got rid of the shitheads before they even gave themselves away. And so I think my fascination with pink goes back to there.
Actually, I have a very similar kind of historical attraction to it, in that, so way back in the day, I used to kickbox a fair bit.
Mm-hmm.
And kickboxing, boxing gyms, that kind of place it's a testosterone-filled house of often dickheadery. And I decided that I wasn't willing to play in this game, and not only was I not willing to play in this ego-fueled testicular pissing contest, but I was going to make it very clear, and either I wasn't going to play or I was going to make people feel silly about themselves. So I basically purchased a number of pairs of bright pink kickboxing shorts, made sure that my hand wraps were pink and that it was very obvious that, it was me. And you would have this kind of macho culture in a gym, and I would rock up like this and just put up with the heckles and the giggles and things like that. And, it comes to a point where you kind of have to let, you can't just talk in a boxing gym. They're not there to knit. It's a good thing. And even to the point when, I did take a couple of fights, professionally, even those, I'm showing up, we're walking down, like the guy who was facing me across the ring is seeing fluorescent pink. And he's hopefully not exactly sure what to do with that knowledge. So it was super fun. I still train pretty casually, and I still make an effort to bust them out. But the place I'm training now is actually really chilled and kind of cool about it, and sell their own branded pink shorts, which I'm totally on board with. So yeah, I really enjoy the fact that it has this stigma in certain places, but also super fun color.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Just to paint with, and we are not saying by any stretch of the imagination that you need to paint a pink model. We're not saying it needs to be a pink model. We're also not looking for the brightest pink, the hottest pink, the most vibrant pink. There is a whole spectrum of pink that you could talk to, and it doesn't have to be the whole model. You could just put some on it that makes sense. You could, let your creativity dictate there. So that is basically the crux of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pick a model or models that you would like to paint. Paint them. Include somewhere on there some level of pink, whether that be fluorescent, pastel, somewhere in between, a more magenta, whatever tickles your little pickle, and
And just be creative.
We're
looking for creative pink, not looking for excessive. We're looking for creative. And look, we're not gender biased here. Men, women, whoever wants to get involved, we want to see your pink bits. So get on. We'll create a little event for it. Chuck a picture of the model pre-paint, and then when you finish, chuck another picture up.
Yeah.
Avec pink.
If you want to put more up, I don't care if you want to show us progress or whatnot. I'm super cool. So look, let's just to be super clear about how this is going to run. We will create a Facebook event for it. So let's try and keep all the official pics in there. We will be looking for the most creative, impressive, amazing use of pink. We don't know, so can't disclose exactly how that will be judged, but we will judge it. We're looking for everyone to have final pictures in by 11:59 p.m. September 30. So you've got, what's the end of July now? So you're talking 2 months. You got shit tons of time.
Plenty of time. Get creative. Have a think. And join us on this little adventure because, like I said, we had so much fun with the last one, and just seeing the variety of things that people were painting. And I mean, we haven't restricted ourselves too much in this podcast. We've talked about many games, some games more than others, but many games, and we would like to see the same sort of variety in the entrance.
Yeah. I'm looking around at the moment trying to work out what the hell I'm going to do, to be perfectly honest, because, whilst we won't be eligible for awards, I think it's only fair and right that we both do something for it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I am honestly not sure of scale, style, thing. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do yet.
I do. I have ogres coming tomorrow.
Of course.
So there are. The snotlings can probably be part of it, but there are 4 ogres in that box. Those ogres will have some degree of pink on them, and I'm hoping that I can somehow work out how to use this bright fluorescent pink. What are these called? What kind of bottles are these? Dropper bottle. That's it. I'm so used to the Citadel. Most of my stuff is Citadels. I have this FX Fluo acid pink color, which so far I have only used to paint the inside of my wet palette. So I'm hoping to use that and actually do some proper painting with it. So that's my dedication right now, is that by the end of this, I will have, at the very least, 4 ogres with some degree of pink.
Literally to my left is a whole bunch of paints I just have on my table because I've been using them. There is both a Game Air Squid Pink and a Model color Fluoro Magenta right here. Like, I don't even need to move from where I'm sitting to get started. This is the best.
So what are you waiting for?
I don't know what I'm going to paint yet, or at least half paint before I move on to another project.
But that's it. Yeah, we wanted to have a bit of fun with you guys, get some involvement going, and there will be, like Jay said, there will be judging involved. The flip side to that coin is that there will be prizes involved.
Yeah, we're going to come up with some cool reasons to give prizes away and some cool shit we can give away. So we'll work on that in the next little bit. And I am, super pumped to see hopefully what people come up with, what they enter, what they do. It's just, as I said, I don't care what you paint. Just paint a pink, throw a picture in.
That's it. Give us some pink. Let us judge your pink bits.
Yeah. This is going to be the pinkening.
The pinkening. There you go. You've got a title for the cast already.
I was just going to call it judging pink bits, but you know.
Oh, well, that works too.
Is that clickbaity? I don't know.
Yeah, that's worth a shot. But yeah, that's where we'll leave you with that thought festering around in your head. Please do join us on this little adventure. It's going to be a bit of fun, and like I said, we'll throw some prizes, and those prizes are not going to be, not always going to be best painted. They're going to be, most creative. Like, we'll come up with ideas for prizes that are not dedicated completely around who's the best painter.
No, most phallic. You see where I'm at. We come up with some good, like, I'm really surprised going back an episode to the Town Open where you were surprised that I was the one that came up with that, extra point for gratuitous pink.
And I fucking wore my pink TCG t-shirt too.
Yeah. So,
it still pisses me off.
That was kind of where this kind of, the whole topic cemented itself for me. I'm like, that's the competition we need to do. It's now become, I think it's a thing. Anywho, I'm excited. I'm going to paint something, maybe to completion.
Ooh, sounds good.
Oh, I know, right? It's about time I did something to completion.
Yes. No, leaving it.
All right.
Not going there. That's pretty much it from us, I think. Yeah, give us a follow if you haven't already on Facebook, Spotify, Podbean, Twitch, iTunes, wherever you get this. Wherever you're listening to, follow us there. Give us a bit of a helping hand that way. Leave us a review and comments. Any comments that you want to give us, especially around pink. We have merch. Wear us as a hat. We also want to, as always, thank the current sponsors on Twitch. So, of course, a couple of nights a week I'm getting on and just doing some painting or playing a couple of games, just promoting a bit of chat, especially about the podcast, but just, general chat as well, which has been fun. And if you want to support us, you can, by all means, you can give us a follow there, subscribe. If you are an Amazon Prime member, then you get a free monthly subscription as part of your Prime package anyway.
Do what?
Certainly do. So you can always chuck that our way if you are so inclined. But thank you to current sponsors, Alice, James, George, and Sarah. It's much, much, much appreciated. And those four have been with us since day one with that, which has been great. So thank you very much, guys.
You dead set legends.
Damn straight. On that note, we will leave you with thoughts of pink in your head. Thank you for listening. Laters.
Pink bits.
Godless, casual gaming. Godless, casual gaming. Godless, casual gaming. Godless.